All right, so what metrics should you be measuring specifically to really determine if your sales onboarding program is actually succeeding? It amazes us how many people we get to speak to on a regular basis that are struggling to try to figure out what exactly they should be measuring in those early days and weeks of a new sales rep starting at your organization. Some of the things people will talk about is, well, and we'll ask this often, is what do you consider ramped? Different companies define ramp differently, and however it is that you choose to define ramp, it's important to have metrics that are tied specifically to those actual metrics. And as I say, many people often ask us, are there qualitative metrics? Is it more of a quantitative thing that we should be looking at? What are the actual things we should be talking about? Imagine if you were able to have specific types of metrics that could actually help you predict whether or not a rep was going to ramp on time and almost act as a leading indicator as to whether or not this person is going to make it. And more importantly, for the ones that are tracking to not really ramp the way you want them to be able to get involved and intervene earlier to get the coaching they need earlier to hit the numbers they want to hit. The key thing is whatever metrics that you choose to define these, you need one to build on top of the other so it's seamless for the rep and it's also progressive in how they need to get there. And these metrics always should be leading towards time to some form of outcome. I remember in the early days of our organization, we were building our onboarding process, and one person we had hired was ramping in one way, and we had someone else that ramped completely different. And we made a massive mistake. We, like many organizations, said, hey, just come on in and get to that first deal really quick. But we forgot the things that happened before that. So the rep didn't necessarily know exactly what to do. And what we had found by looking at our own data was it was a simple, and it does sound kind of obvious, the reps we found that got on the phone sooner were the ones that generated pipeline faster. Doesn't sound like rocket science, does it? But are you tracking it? What's the time to getting that rep on the phone for the first time? Is it at the end of the first week? Second week, second day, which by the way is what we would recommend. Get them on the phone real quick because, listen, it's a sales job. Get them on the phone. What are we waiting for? That's like bringing someone into a job and on their second day, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Why would you wait 2 weeks to get someone to start their job? Give them the 2 weeks off if that's the case. Get them on the phone quickly. So let me run you through this framework that's going to give you a sense right away on the types of metrics that you want to be looking for right as you're building and implementing this program. So we call this framework the progressive onboarding metric slope. So it's basically a slope, think of it just like an upgoing graph that you want to graduate people through. In the first section here, so starting from the left, obviously, and the bottom here is time to, and I'll show you here, we typically do this like a time to X, so time to, I'll walk you through this here. But the first one is time to first activity, so TTFA. That's how we would use. We do TT, whatever it is. Time to first sales activity. So as I said before, you want to know how quickly you want people on the phone and let them know that. And I highly encourage it. I don't care how long your onboarding is. I don't care if you have a 1 week boot camp, 2 week, you don't give people territory for 4 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. Get people talking on the phone right away. And I recommend day 2, even if it's just with tier 4 type accounts, because they need to tear off that band-aid of knowing that picking up the phone and speaking to people is absolutely instrumental as part of this role. And if you disagree and think you can make the sales on Twitter, then stop this video now because you're not going to like the rest of the stuff I have to say. All right, let's keep going here. Second, so we've got the first activity. The next metric is time to first meeting. Now, inside sales, outside sales, it doesn't matter. You need to be getting in front of prospects and customers, and you need to measure how quickly reps are able to do this. And it's not just about the first one. The first one is an important milestone, but what's key is tracking how many they have, because at the end of the day, you need them to be getting more proficient and having conversations, whether it's for building pipeline, doing discoveries, moving business along, even for upsell. You need people to have those first conversations quickly and have those meetings structured, because if there's no meetings, there's no conversations, no sales. It's a pretty simple calculation in that way. No rocket science. I never guaranteed any rocket science here. All right, let's keep going. So the third section of the 4 is TTFP, so time to first pipeline. It's obvious, right? Without pipeline, there's going to be nothing to close. But you see how the slope, each of these metrics build up to each other, which leads to the last one, which is, and this one depends on how long your sales cycle is. So we like to call it it's triple TD, so time to third deal. Not time to first deal, not time to second deal. You can measure those as well. So you can have TTFD, TTSD, TTTD, so time to first, second, or third deal. Time to first deal, depending on your sales cycle, there's always risk because it could have been in the pipeline already, could have been a bluebird, pure luck. Arguably, second deal could be something similar, could be an add-on sale. Define this according to your business, but it's a time to X deal where depending on your business, transaction size, average sales cycle length, you choose which one is key for you and measure that. And what you have here is this ramp here. I mean, it's literally an image of a ramp. That's why we've called it the progressive onboarding metric slope, is now you have this image of a slope of a ramp, and it's very clear for what the reps need to be doing to get through their ramping period and the key metrics and milestones they need to be hitting along the way. Every single sales leader wants to reduce sales ramp time. It's a proven thing, but it often takes a back seat because they still have quota to manage, people, deals to close this week and this quarter. So ramp can take a back seat, but it's essential to have the metrics in place for 2 reasons. One, the rep themselves, along with their manager, will know what they're trying to strive for, but arguably, maybe even more important, is the sales enablers and operators that are managing and putting together this ramp process for the team will know exactly what metrics the sales leaders want them to be pushing the reps to be learning, and it drives complete alignment along the metrics that you want to drive for your sales onboarding program. Okay, so let's review here. Having a few key metrics that you're tracking will really help you in having more of a predictive model in A, will reps ramp, and B, what do we need to do along the way for those that may be getting off the path so this cohort of people, whether it be 220 or 200 people that you've hired, can all ramp in a consistent way. The second thing is be sure you're calculating the time to outcomes. So we've talked about different pipeline conversations, meetings, first deal, second deal, whatever it is, but have very clear time to TT outcomes such that you can really define what winning onboarding looks like. Hope this was helpful. Feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. Add a comment if you've got things you'd love to share and contribute to this. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.